Welcome to The Actor's Choice, where the actors and actresses have a chance to talk about themselves and their careers. Join us now for the next hour as we explore the marvelous industry of acting by actors and actresses from today's exciting show business world. And now, direct from Hollywood, here's your host, Ron Brewington.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ron Brewington, and welcome to The Actor's Choice. Roll it, Tony.
My name's Greg Palast.
I'm an investigative reporter, and every 4 years I become a crime reporter. The crime, election theft.
Why are these such secret lists?
This is a list I'm not supposed to have, and you're not supposed to see. It's a list of 7,200,000 voters. If your name's on this secret list, your ballot can get canceled. Legally. Why?
Ladies and gentlemen, my first guest today is a veteran investigative journalist and author. He's known around the globe for complex undercover investigations spanning 5 continents, from the Arctic to the Amazon, from Caracas to California, using the skills he earned over 2 decades as a top investigator of corporate America. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome. It's a great honor to have him here today, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome the one, the only Greg Palast. Greg, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank
Ron,
you.
It's great to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you. We want to, first of all, I have to ask you, what got you into this business?
Oh, well, I actually grew up not in Hollywood where I am right now, but way down in the valley, which I can see from my balcony, next to the sewage dump, the sewage plant, the garbage dump, the power plant in a Chicano neighborhood, Sun Valley, Pacoima. And I said, I want to find out the names of the bastards that put us here. I didn't think it was an accident. And so I went on the hunt for them, and I became an investigator for 20 years, as you mentioned, all over the globe, hunting down billionaires gone bad. And then BBC television and the Guardian newspapers asked me to do it on the air, and I made some films for them, and also reported for the big nightly news programs, going undercover and getting the goods on the bad guys.
Excellent. Because investigative journalism, I was talking about it today to a bunch of people, is protected by the First Amendment. There's obviously a need for this kind of work. Don't let a day go by. There's always some kind of threats, politics, elections, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right?
Well, yeah. I mean, one of the, so I've been working on several issues. I was in the Congo going after, they say, oh, these poor nations. What did Trump call them? I can't even say it on the air. He called them the S-hole nations. Well, who put them in the toilet? Who dumped the S on them? And the answer is American and British, European financiers, people that bribed and stole the governments away from these people. We just saw this in Haiti. And so I went after these guys. I went up the Congo River. I went to Bosnia and others. And I meet the guys who bribed these governments. I remember when Obama said, oh, these guys are corrupt. You in Africa, you Africans better stop, clean up your act. Well, wait a minute. If they're too poor to bribe themselves, who's bribing them? Who's corrupting these nations? And I go after the corruptors. And as you said, I've been everywhere from Caracas and also here in California. And I spent a lot of time lately. In the past 9 years, I spent a lot of time in a third world nation called Georgia, USA.
Yes. Oh, yeah, we'll talk about that one in just a moment. Now, I'm a news junkie myself. I love it. I mean, here in LA, as they used to say at KFWB News 98, you give us 22 minutes, we give you the world. You think that they, it's there. It's what we do. We like to get involved into news, right?
Well, except here's the problem is that investigative reporters, you can tell I'm an investigative reporter just from the hat, is, and you saw the cartoon.
I like the trademark. Good trademark.
I do cartoons and comic books too, believe it or not, investigative comic books and cartoons. That's from my film, The Best Democracy Money Can Buy. And, but investigative reporting is really, it's gone out of style. It's expensive. It's difficult. It's risky. You get sued. You get shot at. You get God knows what. And it's easier to do just these newsy chat shows, Fox, MSNBC, all that. It's chatter, 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 not investigation.
Got you, because I was going to ask you about that. I used to be a television news man, and I remember sometimes we go out there, you see dogs chasing you, people come out with guns and all that stuff like that. Do you worry about that sometimes?
Yeah, I have to. In fact, like when I was just in Georgia, I just did a film. There was this Republican politician. She personally challenged the right of 32,000 black people to vote. 32,000 personally. And she's part of a gang of Republicans that went after a third of a million voters. And I got to tell you, she had a shotgun next to the door. She had handguns and ammunition boxes loaded up on the table between us while I'm talking to her. And her husband comes out, grabs me, seizes me, and they throw me out. And I didn't dawdle because of the shotgun. So, yeah, I have that kind of business all the time, especially when you're in dangerous places like up the Congo River or in, when you leave Atlanta, you're in a different world in Georgia.
Those folks need to understand the First Amendment is not a shield you can carry around all day. Sure. Now, you've done a lot of front page stories for the BBC, the Beeb, as we call it, The Guardian, Nation Magazine, and now Rolling Stone Magazine. Yep. You've also done documentaries and other tasks. Let's go back to 1996, when you got special thanks for being in a documentary called Fear and Favor in the Newsroom. Remember that?
Well, I don't know. I've been in so many documentaries. I got to tell you, I don't even remember that one. But yeah, I've been in a lot of documentaries about investigative reporting. The BBC actually uses my investigative reports to train other investigative reporters. And yeah, so, it's been a long time, but, we're not many of us left.
Now, 2 years later, you got your first IMDb self-credit for a newspaper review on a TV series called The Sunday Program.
Yeah, well, actually the Sunday Program, I'm a regular on with the Reverend Jesse Jackson, who's been promoting my work a long time. And I've known him actually for the past, I don't even want to say, about 4.5 decades. And even though we're only 26 apiece. So there's been I've been doing this a long time, even when I was still in the field as an investigator, even before I was a reporter.
Gotcha. Okay. Fast forward to 2004. You won the George Orwell Courage and Journalism Award for your BBC documentary, Bush Family Fortunes, where you exposed George W. Bush dodging the Vietnam War draft. Thank you, because I was in the Navy during World War.
Yes, well, he was, George Bush got himself, I'm the reporter that uncovered that Daddy Bush got little Georgie a fighter pilot seat in the Texas Air Guard. Where
right.
He was tough. He was so tough that the Viet Cong never attacked Texas. So that's how he got out of the war in Vietnam, while his daddy and his grandpa, who was a senator, voted to send other men's sons and grandsons to Vietnam. He got out, and I exposed that, and they went after me. I got to tell you, the Bush family actually sued me, just so you know, including they, believe it or not, they own a gold mining company, or they were part of a gold mining company operation in Africa. I exposed their operations. That's why my book was called The Best, and my film was called The Best Democracy Money Can Buy, because I went after I followed the money behind these characters.
You know, Daddy Bush was a Navy man. He was a Navy pilot.
Yes, he was a pilot, but Sonny Boy was not really a pilot, because he couldn't land a plane. That's why they threw him out. Not just because of the coke not just because of on the bar counters and the glug. It was more than that. He actually couldn't really fly a plane. In fact, he was the very first and only Texas Air Guard pilot who had never been a pilot before he got before Daddy got him the job.
August 29th, 2005, a very large hurricane named Katrina hit New Orleans. He did a video documentary called Big Easy to Big Empty, the untold story of the drowning of New Orleans. Tell us about it, please, sir.
Okay, it's a half-hour doc, and you know what? We're coming up to the anniversary. Get it, download it for free. Go to gregpalast.com. In fact, I've now got a foundation to release all my stuff at gregpalast.com for free. You can download these films. And let me tell you something. What they didn't tell you about Katrina, it wasn't an act of God. It was an act of greed. The oil companies had built a trench from the Gulf straight to the heart of New Orleans, and they were warned 30 days before the hurricane hit, when it was still just hot and calm and sunny days, yes, by a professor from LSU. He called the White House and he said, "We got an emergency. The next hurricane is going to take down these levees and drown this city." He said it 30 days, and we got it on camera 30 days before the flood. No one in America has taled about this. This was mass murder. This drowning was murder. And by the way, come on, you know the color of the bodies floating there. And if you see the film, you'll understand the story.
Gotcha. 2016, A Tale of Billionaire and Ballad Bandits. You did one.
Yes. Well, we had a book, a comic book, and then we did the film, The Best Democracy Money Can Buy, A Tale of Billionaires and Ballot Bandits. And that summed up one of my biggest topics for the past 20 years is what we politely call vote suppression. It should be just, what does that mean? Vote suppression. It's about stealing votes from black people and other voters of color. That's the game. And I've been hunting that down for 25 years now. And it's summarized in this film, The Best Democracy Money Can Buy. And I said, Donald Trump is going to steal this election. This is 2016 when they said, not a chance. And no one believed me. And then he did steal it. If you want to see how Trump stole this election, get The Best Democracy Money Can Buy. And again, you can download it for free at gregpalast.com. That's a brand new download stream.
We're running out of time. But before you go, I got a clip on a subject that you were involved in. It's called New Mass Voter Challenge by GOP Exposed. Remember that one?
Oh, indeed, I do. In fact, I want to thank George and Leonardo DiCaprio for helping get these stories out of Georgia. If you go to, again, you can watch this 2-minute clip where this woman challenged 32,000 voters of color, one person, people that she said didn't live in Georgia anymore. And then I met these people, almost all of them voters of color, and I met them. And then she was one who tried to actually throw me out of her house. Well, she did throw me out of her house, and I didn't dawdle because what you don't see in the camera, because I didn't want to overdo it, she had a shotgun next to the door and handguns with ammo boxes on the table between us. And I said, why are you removing these voters from the voter rolls? It's a lie. And that's how they're going to try to steal the upcoming, the next race for the U.S. Senate next year and the Georgia governorship with Stacey Abrams running against a guy, scamp named Brian Kemp, who's the current governor, who stole the election in 2018. So I've been doing this a long time, hunting these characters down. And in fact, in one of my films, you can see me jump Mr. Kemp because he wouldn't talk to me. And I said, Mr. Kemp, are you removing black people from the voter rolls? Because that's the only way you can win this election. He had me arrested, actually.
Got a short clip.
I'm on Guantanamo, so I'm okay.
Yes, gotcha. We got a short clip. Roll it, Tony.
We're about to meet with a GOP official who says that she has personal knowledge that 32,000 people are voting illegally in this county.
So my name is Pamela Reardon. I am currently 6th District Committee woman to the state party. I know for sure voters do not live here.
This year, Georgia's GOP-controlled legislature passed a new law saying you can challenge an unlimited number of voters.
It's a great thing having you here today. We got to go. Thank you so much for your service, sir. And would love to come back together with you. I want to thank Eileen Proctor and, of course, Lenny, definitely.
Bad Penny. Lenny Bad Penny, who is our chief investigatrix, and you'll see her in the film in her bikini. Okay, love to be back with you, Ron, anytime.
Ladies and gentlemen, Greg Palast. Roll it, Tony.
Hola, señor.
Do you know this kid?
Candelario? Yeah, they call him Sparky. Yeah, I've seen him around.
Around where?
Around? Where does he live? You gonna buy anything? I'm gonna ask you again. Where does he live? Where does he live, huh? Habla, cabrón!
Ladies and gentlemen, my next guest is a proud Angelino, born and raised right here in Los Angeles. He's an actor, does TV and film all the time. But guess what? This man loves being on that stage. He has received Ovation Awards, Stage Raw Awards, Colorado Theater Gil Henry Awards, and Broadway World Awards nominations. He's good. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome and actor Richard Azurdia. Richard, good to meet you.
Thank you so much, Ron, for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Welcome to the Actor's Choice. Now, let me get right to this. What does acting mean to you, sir?
Wow, that's a loaded question to start off with. Well, I started as an actor when I was a kid. I did like school plays, and to me, it's it's living a different life, and bringing life to these amazing characters, and in hopes that you would inspire people, that you would inspire kids, that that you entertain people most than anything, and to me, I guess I just love entertaining people.
It shows, my friend. I've seen some of your work. It really, really shows. In fact, so when did that bug first bite you?
My first play was in elementary school, and since then I've had the bug, but I didn't really get into it until I went to college. When I decided I wanted to do it professionally, I took a couple acting classes, and I decided I wanted to be an actor at that point. And I ended up auditioning for a professional touring company of West Side Story. And funny enough, I auditioned for the role of Chino, and the director told me, he was like, you know what, you're non-union, but in case we don't find someone for that role, we might call you. And about 5 months went by, about 4 or 5 months went by, and I got called in, and I replaced the guy they originally cast because I think he hurt himself. And I ended up doing that show, and that's when I first started. That was my first professional show.
Because got to tell you this, folks who watch this show, they know me. They know Ron Brewington. I got a bone to pick with actors and actresses who they come here to Hollywood with illusions of grandeur. They do the television, they do the film, but they don't touch that stage. Your thoughts, sir?
The stage to me is probably the most important thing as an actor. That's where you really build your chops. It's not the same thing as working in front of a film, and camera or TV, where you can reduce certain things. You can do takes, or they can edit around you to create a great performance out of you. On stage, it's you. You're there with the audience, and it's up to you to do the best work you can. And I think that's why it's always harder for film and TV actors to transition to theater or even do theater, but it's easier for us theater actors to transition into other mediums.
You're talking, you makes it real, real easy. So let's balance this interview out by talking about your TV and film career, and then we'll talk about your stage career. Here we go. The year was 1996, and you got your first IMDb actor credit for a crime TV series called Palast. Did I say that right? Placas?
Placas. There you go.
Remember that?
Oh man, I do remember that. That was a TV show in Spanish, and it was kind of like America's Most Wanted, but the Spanish version. And I'm fluent in Spanish, and at that point, I was just taking whatever could come along, my way. Whatever job I can get, just trying to build that resume. And I believe I did 2 episodes of that show, and it was fun. It was my first experience on camera. It was a lot of fun.
Well, folks, in case you didn't know it, Richard has acquired some very interesting roles since he got into this business. At the moment, he's got nearly 60 actor role credits. Not bad, not bad. Please tell us about some of the roles that you've had over the years.
Oh man, in film and TV, I think one of my favorite roles was on the show Weeds. I had a recurring role in that show, and funny enough, my career always goes back to theater. One of the head writer of the show actually happens to be a playwright, and he saw my resume when I first auditioned, and we just had a lot of friends in common. So when I got the call back, he and I actually started talking. He's like, "Well, you happen to know so and so?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he told me, I was like, "I'm actually a playwright, so I know a lot of the people you work with." And we got along really well, and I ended up getting casting in it. I got cast in the show for 1 episode, and I guess they really enjoyed me, having around the set, and the fact that I've done a lot of theater, that they decided to write me in a couple more episodes. So I did a season of that show. It was a lot of fun.
I see you completed a TV short series called Corona Town this year.
Yes, obviously, it does have to do with the pandemic, and the show focuses on people's frustrations being locked up at home. So this town has all these characters that are just lost and have nowhere to go, and pretty much they're recording their own voices online for people to hear them out. So that was a very interesting project. I ended up shooting everything on my own, myself, while the director and producers would look it over, and they would give me notes, and then I would have to shoot it again. So it was something very different for me.
Slouch, I see you have casting director credits along with ADR voice, second assistant director along with English dubbing credits. Versatility.
You got to do it all. When I first started out, I started casting a lot of short films too, just to understand the other side of the room. I ended up casting some feature films too. And now mostly as a casting director, I do theater. I work with one company of Angels.
Yes.
And I do some of the casting for them, and I've also done minor casting for a couple other companies.
Now, there are roles sometime, TV or filming that you won't take. You don't want those roles. Why? What makes you turn down a role?
When I first started out, many actors would tell me, I don't want to play the gangster roles. I don't want to play the stereotypical roles.
Right.
And I did agree, but I realized, when you're starting out, you have to kind of take those roles. You have to take the stereotypical roles, because you don't know where that's going to lead you to the next job. I definitely played a lot of stereotypes in my time, and it actually led me to more work, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that, your ethics, how you work with people, how you treat people, that to me is very important in the industry. Even being completely nice to the PA, who brought you water, and just saying thank you to that person. Your work ethic is so important when you're working in this business. That you might accept a role, that you might not be happy with, but you don't know where that's going to lead you to. The director might love your work and might say, what, I have another project for you that you might be right for, and you're going to be playing a young doctor. So I in the beginning I would take on everything. Now I'm a little pickier, because I'm older and I have a little more experience, so I can pick and choose what I want to do. But I always tell younger actors, just take on everything and do the best work you can do.
Excellent attitude, Richard. Excellent. Now let's talk about your stage career. I see that last year you were part of the cast of the world premiere human interest story at the Fountain Theater. Is that
yes.
you in that play?
Oh man, I love that play. Steven Sachs wrote and directed it, and it was actually very sad that we had to close because of the pandemic. I believe we were starting our fourth weekend.
Right.
And the show was doing so well. We had amazing reviews, in a completely amazing cast. One of the best casts I've worked with so far. I've worked with people. Such a tight, powerful cast. And the story is a story that just needed to be told. And I hope that Steven Sachs brings it back at some point.
Now, I understand there was something about that role that really opened your eyes to the urgent issues of our times. Roll it, Tony.
The play itself had so many messages, in regards to racism,
Okay.
classism, and more importantly, also women. The play's lead was an African American woman who was homeless, and her struggle to survive and what she needs to do in order to make it, and the fact that Steven Sachs, Fountain Theater, they're such a wonderful company. They always focus on diversity, which is so important, especially now, when companies are not even, thinking about it or trying, they're just doing it. And that definitely the Fountain Theater.
All right. Speaking of world premieres, ladies and gentlemen, I understand that this man has an upcoming play called The Last Best Small Town, which opens July 31st and goes through November 7th. Tell us about it, sir. There's that lady, you got to.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's Katia Gomez, who plays my wife. I love this play. I actually done 2 readings of it, and I workshopped the play some time ago. So I've been part of this project for some time, and I'm honored to officially, be in it, for a world premiere of it. And it's a beautiful play. It's a slight adaptation, or it's inspired by Our Town. And the main focus is two families, a Latino family and a Caucasian family, and how their relationships intertwine. Especially the young couple, or for example, the actor who plays my son, Kevin Morales. And the young girl, Georgian Kessler, who fall in love. You have a Latino young man and a Caucasian white girl. Finding love within all this adversity. It's a great story. And I played the dad who just happens to be, an amazing man who just wants to raise his child right.
What's his name?
Benny Gonzalez.
Benny
That's
Gonzalez.
my guy. Yeah. Benny Gonzalez.
All
That's
right.
my guy. Yeah, I love that guy. I love playing this character. It's such a fun character. And I love that he's got some sort of machismo to him, but his wife, she handles. She's the boss. Actually, she's really the boss. So it's a fun character to play. I love the show.
Tell us about the venue.
Theatricum Botanicum, Will Gear's Theatricum Botanicum. This is my first time actually working there. I've done readings there before, but this is my first full production, and I love it there. It just feels like you're walking into a family home and you're just embracing. Everyone is wonderful. Our director, Ellen Gear, she is amazing to work with, and to watch her direct too. I'm mesmerized by what she's doing, and the location too. I mean, it's beautiful. It's such a beautiful theater. The stage, the environment. You feel like you enter another world when you get there. Which to me, it's amazing. For an audience member. Because I've seen shows there before. You feel like you've entered another world, and hopefully people will enter our world too and enjoy this play as much as I do.
We had the privilege and pleasure to have Ellen Gear be a guest on our show a couple of weeks ago. She is that's a classy lady, and what her father did is Will Gear, starting his whole thing about McCarthy and blacklisting and all that good stuff in Hollywood. It really is amazing what families can do when they can get it. Okay, we're running out of time. Give me a telephone. I got a telephone number here for tickets. 310-456-3723.
That's correct.
Okay, and there's also what is it called? Theatricum.com. That's your website?
Correct. That's the one. Yes.
A couple things I just want to say real quick. First of all, God bless you and what you've been doing. You got a great attitude. Stay on that stage, Richard. Open the door, Richard. I'm sure you've heard that expression before. But glad to have you as a guest. Please come back again in the future. We got a lot more to say. Okay.
Thank you so much, Ron, for having me. I'm honored, and hopefully we'll see each other soon and in person.
Lucy Pollock is her name. That's her name. That's your publicist.
Yes. Yeah. I love Lucy.
Ladies and gentlemen, Richard Azurdia. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
It's the Actor's Choice. I'm Ron Brewington. Roll it, Tony.
I guess on some level I was trying to beat it down. As an early teenager, it was so horrifying to me that I might be that thing that everybody so clearly hates that I prayed to God, please don't let this be, take this from.
Ladies and gentlemen, my next guest is an actor, playwright, veterans advocate, and activist. He's also been honorably discharged from the United States Marine Corps, and he's an Iraqian veteran. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jeff Key. Jeff, welcome to the Actor's Choice. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
And good morning, Ron. Good morning. It's nice to be here. Please do forgive the boxes. We're just moving in.
That's quite all right. That's quite all right. Until you brought it to my attention, I never even noticed it.
Well, hopefully I'll be engaging enough with guests that they won't even notice.
I want to thank you for your service to our country. It's good folks like you who protect and defend the liberties and freedoms that we take for granted here in this country. And I want to thank you for that.
Thank you, Ron. I feel like I've done so much more for my country since I came home from Iraq. I've done more with this weapon than I have the others.
Come on, say it loud. Yes, indeed. Now, where are you originally from, sir?
I grew up in, believe it or not, a place called America Junction, Alabama.
Alabama.
When I was a child, was an hour from Birmingham, but now that they've built a freeway between Birmingham and Memphis, it's a half an hour.
So you went to school, got a few degrees in theater, I'm told.
I went to school. I went to the University of Alabama. I was a legacy. There was never any question of where I would go. My mother had gone to school there to become a school teacher. I was the first key man to graduate college by 4 hours because my younger brother graduated in the afternoon commencement. I had graduated that morning. He played football there at Alabama while we were there. So
good
he
school.
was everything a young Alabama boy was supposed to be. I was the artist.
So tell us about your first stage experience as an actor.
Oh, well, I think my first experience of the professional stage came later, but the culture I grew up in, I think I'd be lying if I didn't say, that the early school experiences that I had. Let's say by the time I got to high school, and I'm 6'5", you can't tell with me sitting here, but the basketball coaches all had their eyes on me. The principal got me a key to the school so that I could come and practice basketball. And one day, the moment when I was jumping rope and I turned around, the entire basketball team was standing there laughing at the way I guess I jumped very creatively. And the band director and the drama teacher thought everything I did was wonderful. So the choice was made. And so I think I played Captain Keller in The Miracle Worker in high school was my debut to the stage. And then the first time I ever got paid for it, I did summer stock when I was there getting my bachelor's in theater in Alabama, which was a wonderful experience. I spent the summers in Texas and we did vintage Broadway musicals like Oklahoma and Singing in the Rain and Camelot. I got to do all the great chorus roles while I could still kick that high. And then came on to LA to, I found out there was this thing called independent film. I think the first thing I ever saw was The Hotel New Hampshire, which was based on a John Irving book, and John Lithgow, and just, a long list of amazing actors. And I found out that there was this other kind of movie out there that had a more artistic bent and sought to speak more to the human condition than the regular commercial things that I'd always seen. And so I came to LA after I graduated college in '97 to be an independent film actor, and got busy not doing that. And on the way home from an audition one day, I looked up at a billboard. I was 3 years sober at the time, by the way. That's an important part of the story. And I was sort of at a point in my life where I was doing things that I felt like my early life alcoholism had stolen from me. And I saw this billboard that said 1-800-Marines. And I said, I always wanted to be a Marine. And I called them up and I said, what's the age cutoff? And they said, it's 28. Why? And I said, ugh. He said, why? How old are you? And I said, I'm 34. And he said, come in and talk to us anyway. I'm a gay man living in Los Angeles in my 30s. I knew where the gym was. So I went in and I pulled out some pull-ups for them. And 3 months later, I was off to boot camp. And so I went to boot camp in San Diego with boys young enough to be my sons. And the timing on this was at 2000. I became a Marine. I graduated October the 13th, 2000. So you can do the math. What happened about a month and 2 days shy of a year later, some people flew some airplanes into buildings in New York City, and we started preparing to deploy. Didn't know where, but we knew we'd be going somewhere. And in March 2003, my unit prepared to go to Iraq. And I ended up there. We flew into Kuwait City. I drove a thing that looks like a tank with tires called an LAV. We drove north into Iraq, and I was at war. I was a man at war. I never thought that would be part of my life story. I don't know why I thought it wouldn't, because my life is pretty much a Gothic novel. But I had a huge crisis of conscience there. I was being older. In the Showtime docu showed some clips from at the beginning, tells that whole story, and I don't want to use up that time telling a story that's been told, but I will say that I came to a point there where I was heartbroken and confused, had a lot of feelings of betrayal. My fellow Marines who knew I was gay, but it was under Don't Ask, Don't Tell, came to me sometimes as a father figure because I was older, and sometimes as a brother, and then sometimes as a nurturer. I read Walt Whitman when he talked about going to the hospitals during the Civil War where the Union and rebel soldiers lay side by side dying, and he said, I kissed them in proxy of their mothers, which is just some of the most beautiful language, words in our language, I believe. And I didn't know what to do. And I had remembered that when I first got sober, this wise old queen just took a good look at me and said, if you don't put pen to paper, you're going to die. And he was right. And so I always carried one of these in my cargo pocket with me in Iraq. And I began to write about my experience. And 2 months and 3 days later, I was injured in a non-combat injury and sent back to the United States. I was living in Los Angeles, and people would, I was surprised actually to find the world that wasn't really, I'm the grandson of a World War II sailor who fought the Nazis in the North Atlantic, and I was sort of surprised at the America I came home. There were no victory gardens and nobody was saving pantyhose. But when people would ask about the war, I'd noticed that it had been politicized, and there was a lot of debate, and that veterans were we were often used as pawns to support a political opinion or another. And so I said, I don't want to debate the war, but if you want, I'll read to you from my journals. And I met this fellow named Yuval Hadadi. He's an Israeli director, lives between New York City and Tel Aviv. And he was in Los Angeles having directed a movie and a play here. And he said, I'll stay on my own dime if you'll let me direct you in this as a solo performance piece. And I'd done, several plays by then. I'd done Shakespeare and Williams and all those musicals, but never had sought to take to the stage to tell my own story. I can never express my gratitude enough to Yuval for his friendship and his championing of my work. He was very much, he had of course been in the IDF. He was an Israeli naval officer and had been in the Israeli-Lebanon conflict. And he was really curious about my experience serving under Don't Ask, Don't Tell for one thing, but his appreciation for my writing drove me out of I was ready to put the gun in my mouth when I got back from Iraq, as so many service members end up, it was too much. But he gave me something to work towards, and he pushed me very, very hard. He said, and we did it, I was saying things that a lot of powerful people did not want to hear. And he said, come back with everything you absolutely must say, because somebody might kill you for saying this. And I came back with something as long as Nicholas Nickleby, and through the process of our working together, we pared it down to an hour and a half. I went on, I did an interview. It was supposed to be about morale on CNN, and came out of the closet while Don't Ask, Don't Tell was still in place, and made them throw me out as an act of civil disobedience, and began my work as an anti-war activist and a veterans advocate and a queer rights activist. And so every night after night, we started right over there at the Tamarind Theater in the off nights. Nobody ever heard of me. And just to sparse crowds. One night, the stage manager came back and said, there's one man in the audience tonight. And I said, well, tell him to come back tomorrow and we'll give him 5 more tickets for his friends. And he went, and then he appeared back in my dressing room, and he said, he's German and he's flying back to Munich tomorrow. And I said, hit the lights. And I did the play for one man. He sat in the audience, and I did the play for that one German man. And it was hard. It was like rolling an anvil uphill for all that time. And then one night, Tony, the stage manager, came back. He said, if somebody was sort of famous was in the audience, would you want to know? And I was like, well, now I'm going to be out there looking. And he said, Lily Tomlin and Jane Wagner are here. And, you know, Lily had redefined the one-person show with Search for Signs of Intelligent Life in the Universe. And I gave it my all and gave them a show. And she and Jane both wrote these beautiful things about my play. And I could finally get the LA Times in. David Nichols, God bless him. I would name, if I was ever going to have a child, I'd name it after him. Compared some of the writing to Ginsberg, and I had a career. I was able to use that to get the play into other cities, which we did. Runs in big cities like San Francisco and Boston, and then we did a busing truck through backwoods Kentucky, and I was protested by right-wing Christians. You know, I got to the theater and they had surrounded the theater one night, and but it was just, you know, it was years that I did only that play, and then the Showtime Network did the Ida Hallinan produced, and the Showtime Network did this documentary, and so it gave me a voice, it gave me a microphone, and most importantly, it gave me a way to reach out to other veterans, and which I continue now working with an organization called Warrior Writers to bring veterans into the entertainment industry. Okay. And I came to a point where I realized I wasn't writing, and you'll have to tell me when we're coming close on time because I'm from the South and I'll talk all day.
Okay. Now there was a documentary that you did in 2007 that focused on both veterans and civilians here in Los Angeles. It was called Outspoken Los Angeles.
Oh, I did?
Yeah, you did.
Well, thanks to those filmmakers, I've been interviewed about 1,000 times.
Uh-huh.
Yep, I did that. I was and am, as you can tell, outspoken. I guess I was raised by working class, rural, you know, white teenagers of the 50s, you know, who had their own awakenings during and through my experience. Like, mine was the first generation to go to school with anybody of any other race, you know, like that. I have to credit my parents, I guess, with my outspokenness. I care passionately about what I care about, and I don't know. I'm the age my grandfather was when he died now. So, but I'd stopped writing, and I was freaked out about that. And I sat down one day at the computer. I've done everything from literally chain myself to my writing desk to putting on a hard hat each day to remind myself that I had a job, you know. And I just said, I've got to take some action and faith. And I put my hands on the keyboard and I heard the words, "It's not as easy as it looks, is it?" And so I typed them and I started to have a conversation with this voice. It was clear that it was a dialogue. And when it came time, I'd had spine surgery when I got back from Iraq, and I was walking with the cane. And when I typed the words, when it came time to name that other character with whom I was speaking, I just typed Tennessee Williams, and the cane fell over and hit the floor. And I went with it. And so in this play, Lilac and Liquor, I broke out of what I've now come to understand. Tennessee called it the terror of the white page and the typewriter. Okay. And I know now that it is the connection between PTSD and the creative process. So Lilac and Liquor is a meditation on that, and it's the story of the writing of itself. Okay. And it's my next play that I intend to get produced.
Okay, now you know people. That's one thing you do. You know a lot of people.
I know a lot of people.
About that pretty lady, Eva Marie Frederick. Do you remember that lady?
I know her. I've known her, I believe, since 1997. We were on lot at Universal Studios, and she was introduced to me by friends that we have in common, and we have been friends since then. I love her. You know, there are those friendships. I've traveled a lot. There are those friendships you can pick right back up with, and she is definitely one of them. I believe that I have her to thank for introducing us. So, yep, good people do introduce good people.
All right. Well, Jeff, I hate to tell you this, but we're out of time, sir.
I told you.
Out of time.
You have to ask me one question and I'll keep going on. Well, I hope to keep in touch, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about my passion and what I'm up to. And thank you very much.
Here today, best wishes, and as we say in the business, keep on trucking. And oh yeah, thanks for your service, sir. Thank you.
May it continue.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff K. Roller Tony.
Need warriors like you. Join us.
What do I have to do? The journey from here is yours to decide. But that is just the beginning.
I'm on a new level. I'm on a new level.
Ladies and gentlemen, my next guest is here today to tell you about his new exciting movie that just opened this past weekend. Got a whole lot of action in it. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Steve Allerick. Steve, look at you. I see you there. Hey, man, take it away, Steve.
Where am I?
You're doing fine. We hear you. We see you. We hear you.
There we go. Hey, what's up, Ron?
My man, Steve. Welcome to the Actor's Choice, my friend.
Huh?
Yeah. You're a regular on one of us now. This trailer, we just showed a trailer for Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe Origins. Off the hook, friend. Please tell us about the storyline.
So it is a very awesome movie. Honestly, I saw it and it was fantastic. It's about the character Snake Eyes, who's a G.I. Joe's most popular character. So it's an origin story. It does divert from the original origin story, but I think it does it in a really intelligent and inclusive way, which I think was important.
Okay. Now you play the role of father. What's that role?
I play his father. So the entire I'm so pleased with it. The entire emotional journey of the story is based off of my relationship with him. So spoiler free, that's all I'm going to say about it. But I am in many ways the reason he becomes Snake Eyes. Wow. Yeah.
As you know, you probably saw the weekend box. You guys opened up with $13.35 million here in America. Number 2 on the top 10.
I saw that, and it's incredible that we did that. Yeah, man, to do that in the middle of a pandemic is incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm glad. Thank you guys, whoever's watching. Thank you so much for going out and seeing it, because the movie is amazing. The action is fantastic.
Hey.
I love it. Yeah.
As you beat out Black Widow and Space Jam: A New Legacy.
Yep.
Yes,
we did.
$88 million budget you got there. No?
Yeah, the budget was, listen, so my first set of shooting was in Vancouver.
Okay.
On a soundstage, and the work was incredible. I don't even know how big it was, but I mean, they built part of downtown Tokyo. They had this thing called the Snake Pit. They built this Japanese bathhouse, all from scratch. It was like I walked in, I was overwhelmed. It was mind-boggling.
Wow.
Yeah.
Stunts off the hook. Who was the director?
Robert Schwenke.
Okay. How about the other stars? Can you mention a few of them?
Of course, yeah. No, Henry Golding, excuse me. Andrew Koji, really, really kind people. Samara Weaving, so amazing to work with, so fun to hang out with, such great, incredible people. Yeah.
Possible sequel, or is it a little bit too early?
I don't think it's too early. I think Hasbro and Paramount really believe in the property, and I think that they've already started doing other things. This is meant to lead into a bigger team up, G.I. Joe team up. So I can't wait to see what's in the future.
Okay. Stephen, you cannot leave here without seeing another clip of Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe Origins. Roll it, Tony. Roll it.
You saved my life. Why?
I looked into your eyes.
That's for honor. I owe you a debt of.
You know what they say in Hollywood, you got to have some violence in there if you want to have a hip. By the way, what's next?
Right.
What's next for you?
Well, I actually just wrapped yesterday on a short. I was on your show talking about it last time.
Yes.
Man, it was one of the best experiences of my life. And I think we have something really, really special in this, in this short film. So I'm dying for that to come out. So it'll be work on that.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you very, very much for stopping on by. It's always good to see you. Keep singing, my brother. Keep singing.
Oh, I will, man. Always my pleasure. And I'll see you soon. Thanks for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we end today's episode, we here at TAC, the Actor's Choice, sincerely wish to congratulate veteran actress Marla Gibbs for receiving a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame last Tuesday, July the 20th. Now, Ms. Gibbs is famous for her nearly 115 television, film actress credits, including roles in classic TV sitcoms such as The Jeffersons and 227. This honor is long, long overdue, and we congratulate her for a job well done. Thank you. Thank you. I want to thank our sponsors, Harvey Brandman, Photography is an Art, Ron Irwin's Haiku, Style, Passion, Heart, Ira Buford's Book to the Future, Time Travel, Message in a Capsule, State Farm agent Carla Green, and veteran actor Rob Brownstein's Actors Training School and Actors Space. Much, much thanks for our guest today, writer-director Greg Palast, actor Richard Azurdia, actor-writer Jeff Key, and actor-producer Stephen Allerick. And of course, special thanks to our ever-growing worldwide audience. Be well. We'll see you next time.